Most people are afraid of embarking in journeys that are gonna enrich their lives. And you did that. Why did you decide to go from Detroit to Miami and then to Philippines and then to Japan and then to all these places that are beautiful, magnificent?
I had this calling, and I know it was God telling me, you're not, if I stay here, I'm not gonna grow anymore. I know everything here already. I crave growth. And if I stay in this comfort zone, I'm not gonna reach my potential. I decided to go to Florida International University, which is kind of random for somebody coming from Michigan. And literally my second day here, I fell in love with the culture.
Saludos y bienvenidos a otro episodio del Fitness Revolution Podcast con su amigo Julián Diasa. Y hoy vamos a cambiar de idioma un poquito. We're going to start doing this in English. Today we have somebody super special, well-traveled, well-spoken, businesswoman, young entrepreneur, and she have a life story that is very interesting for all of us to learn certain things that most of us don't take into consideration. I admire this young woman, and that's why she's here with us today, the one and only Briana course, aka Barbie. Welcome to the podcast, Barbie. How are you doing today?
I'm all good. How are you?
Everything is good. This young entrepreneur originally from Detroit, and she has traveled around the world. She has this calling for living the present moment and to enjoy the experiences that life brings to her. And she have a story to tell because most of us live in a day-to-day without even enjoying the moment, just thinking about the past or the future. Most people don't travel. Most people are afraid of embarking in journeys that are gonna enrich their lives. And you did that. Why did you decide to go from Detroit to Miami when you were 18 and then to Philippines and then to Japan and then to all these places that are beautiful, magnificent, and that you learn so much from it? Why do you have that calling in you?
It was never initially planned. So I grew up in Michigan. My sister, she's handicapped. She can't walk, she can't talk. So that really made me realize how, we take everyday things for granted. If I can wake up and I can move my body, it's going to be a great day. So I really have always wanted to take full advantage of life, knowing how much of a gift it is. And I also really feel like I live for her as well. And growing up in Michigan, it's a small town. People are closed-minded. Everyone looks the same. Everyone thinks the same. And if you're different, you're a foreigner, you're unfortunately looked a little bit, as an outcast. You're not welcomed. So I had the chance to do, maybe once a year, I would go to Florida for a vacation. I loved the weather. And I had this calling, and I know it was God telling me, if I stay here, I'm not going to grow anymore. I know everything here already. I crave growth. And if I stay in this comfort zone, I'm not going to reach my potential. So I started looking to go to schools out of state, and I was looking somewhere warm. So it was between Miami and randomly I was looking at University of Alabama. It was just so random. And I was competing at the time in CrossFit. I grew up a competitive gymnast. Anyways, I didn't want to go to U of M. It's all preppy white kids. Sorry to say it like that, but was like my opinion. So I decided to go to Florida International University, which is kind of random for somebody coming from Michigan. And literally my second day here, I fell in love with the culture. So I was going to this CrossFit gym that I knew about as well, and I instantly made friends with a group of Colombians. They brought me in. I was family. I saw this culture that, honestly, when I said I was moving to Miami, a lot of my family members or people around me were saying, oh, are you sure you want to live somewhere where, they don't even speak English, all these like Mexicans taking our jobs. I'm like, oh my God, like they say stuff like that. So that's why we're trapped. We believe these things that we're told without even taking a chance to experience it for ourselves. So what I do is I go in extremely open-minded, ready to let the universe give me whatever it's going to give me, just be so ready to accept everything.
That's beautiful.
So literally, I just fell in love with the culture and I started learning Spanish. I started being able to travel to Latin America with my friends to Colombia. I spent a lot of time in Puerto Rico. I did Costa Rica, and I started seeing the world. You start to understand the world a little bit better. You become a lot more humble. You realize how many things we take for granted.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I'll get into it a little bit later. And then Philippines was even a whole nother scenario of how I saw how much that we take for granted over here. And every time that I had this feeling in Michigan, I didn't feel I fit in. I didn't have many friends, but not because I couldn't make friends, but I didn't feel like I wanted to be those friends. I felt like just for convenience, and when I came to Miami and I saw how Latin Americans treat each other, the way that they support each other, same thing in the Philippines, it was real love, real connection. People have a little bit more time to offer. They know what it's like to, have to sacrifice for one another.
Mm.
So, yeah.
So you start to falling in love for the Latin culture, the language, the food, the music. How that is against your world vision if you were to stay in Michigan, for example? Because what happened now, as I see it, not only here in America, but around the planet, is this divisiveness that is white against black and against Latinos, and people don't understand that the more we're divided, the less we'll be able to be happy and achieve things because you divide and you rule. That's one of the Machiavelli's laws of power. Saying that, how is it that you were able to transform your mentality, although you were surrounded by that mentality of lack and exclusion?
Well, I guess, for example, like I said, I felt like everyone where I was from, they all think the same. And you were, in a way, programmed what to think. The media, the news, everybody is telling you, and even the small things with trends. Everybody in my high school is like, I know it's cliche, it's high school, but everybody wants to dress the same. They all want to buy what's trending. And I really believe that we all have our own purpose. What I'm meant to do is so different than what you are meant to do in life.
Disculpa por la interrupción, pero tengo un mensaje muy importante que decirte. Imagínate que puedes revertir tu edad biológica. Imagínate que puedes sentirte con la energía, la juventud, el líbido que tenías hace 10 o 15 años. Para de imaginar porque esto hoy es una realidad. En Connections, lo que hacemos es que utilizamos la ciencia como herramienta y ni siquiera tienes que salir. Te enviamos en tu casa kits e inclusive una enfermera que te saca la sangre para tener sangre, excreta, saliva, orín, DNA, RNA, etcétera, hasta 10,000 puntos de data, y con esa data y mi equipo multidisciplinario hacemos unos protocolos ortomoleculares bioregenerativos de antienvejecimiento basados en data que te garantizo que te van a revertir la edad biológica, te van a dar esa energía y ese líbido de hace 10 a 15 años. Es una promesa de un hombre que tiene más de 15 años de experiencia en esto y está comprometido con la excelencia para ti. Ahora, si quieres convertirte en tu mejor versión, te recomiendo que agendes una llamada conmigo en la descripción del video. Ahora volvemos al podcast.
So I have to listen to what my calling is. If you're meant to be a fitness trainer and I'm meant to, you know what I'm saying? So you have to spend time with yourself alone, with God, to know what your gifts are, to know what you like to do and what you enjoy, instead of just seeing what everybody else is doing and trying to copy with them. I will get inspiration, but I never just like copy paste. And so whenever people were telling me these things about other cultures, other places, I'm like, you're telling me something that you've never even been there. I'm going to go find out for myself, and I'm probably going to have a completely different experience than you. I heard this, I was listening to a podcast the other day about neuroscience, and the way they worded it, it really stuck in my brain, where they said that we don't think with our eyes, we think with our minds. For example, you and I can walk in a room and you are going to see something completely different than I would, and it could be the same room that we're walking into. And that is so true, because you're not seeing it with your eyes. It's your mind that's perceiving these things. So when I do anything, I just go in. One, I look at everything as opportunity and experience. So I cannot fail if I'm going for experience. If it did not turn out as planned, then okay, I learned something and I know to either not do that again, or that was meant for me, or a lot of times it was just the best possible outcome because that was what I was focusing on.
Basically, you never lose. You either win or learn. That's the way it is.
Because the thing is, when you try something new, it is new. You've never seen it before, you've never done, so you don't really know how you're going to feel. And maybe the first or second time is going to be a little bit, but I just go in like, when I went to the Philippines, first
of all, sorry to cut you, but
no worries.
you were here. I met you a few years ago, have a good friendship, and you decided to go to Philippines. Why do you feel that you had to go to Philippines? Because I know it was a work opportunity you have, but what was it that gave you that motivation, or gave you that motivation to go to Philippines, a completely different culture, country, by yourself? Tell me about that. Because I thought that was brave.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I forget that I didn't explain any of that yet. It goes back to what I was briefly explaining, that I felt in Michigan. I didn't really fit in, and I felt like that chapter was closing, so I wanted to come to Miami. And when I came to Miami, it was the best decision I ever made. I was just thriving on life. I just I was learning so many things that I never experienced before. And after those 4 years, I just kind of felt back in that same spot of everything was like this. I didn't feel like I was growing anymore. I just really had this feeling of just a lot of things were happening in my life that were telling me that chapter's closed. It's time to move on. So one day I was scrolling on Facebook. At this time, I was coaching and competing in CrossFit. So mind you, I don't even do that at all anymore. Like that was a different life of mine. You know, I've already lived a few different lives. So I was scrolling on Facebook and I was a part of this group chat called Women Who Do CrossFit. So everyone talks about fitness related things. And there was a post of a woman who owned a CrossFit gym in Siargao Island, Philippines. Never heard of it. They were looking to hire another coach because they had a typhoon that completely knocked down their business. The island was destroyed and they wanted to hire another coach after 8 months of rebuilding. So I scrolled past the post. I said, no way can I go to the Philippines. And then I said, I swear I had this calling, this feeling. I said, let me just reply. And before I start to overthink, because what if they don't even reach out? Anyways, long story short, we started doing video calls. I started researching Siargao. I said, whoa, this is it. There's a lot of similarities in the culture between Latin culture and Filipino culture. It was a surf town, island life, beautiful weather. I said, okay, I'm going to go. I thought I'd go for 2 to 4 months. I told my family, job, friends, 2 to 4 months, but I sold everything. I had this feeling deep down that I could be in for something longer. Or I had no idea what to expect, but the only thing I didn't sell was my car, and I stuffed whatever I had left in the back seat and put it in my friend's driveway for a few months. And long story short, I ended up selling that because I stayed for 3 years in the Philippines. But I had this feeling. God planted this idea in my head, and I know that it was meant for me. And I believe that if God gives you an idea, whether it's to start crocheting or to move somewhere, to start a business, you know, he's giving you that for a reason. And it's almost a disgrace if you don't follow it. And he would not give you something that he's not going to help you finish or get through. You're going to have those things that are tested, your faith, you're going to go through hardships. But those are the times if you are staying strong enough and able to reflect. What's really important is self-reflection. Anytime I had those, when I was in Miami, I was staying for, a few months and it still wasn't working. I'm like, okay, if I stay here, I'm not going to grow. God's telling me something. I need to self-reflect. What am I doing that's not serving me anymore? Clearly, this is not bringing me value. This is not what I need to be doing. I need to sit down and I need to own these feelings I'm having. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling lonely. I'm feeling unfulfilled. Whatever it is, I need to sit on that and listen to what it is, so now I can take that, moving forward. So yeah.
It's interesting what you say, because most people don't understand their own feelings and they're in autopilot, meaning they feel sad, they feel depressed, they feel unfulfilled, they don't have purpose in life, but they still do the same things over and over and over again. And I believe myself that that's why so many human beings in this planet are unhappy and they feel mad, they feel frustrated because they haven't achieved what their calling is, because they are keep doing the same things over and over again because they don't know themselves.
Right.
And that's beautiful what you say, because you're 25 years of age.
25.
So you were talking about you went to Philippines when you were 21.
22.
22. Very young for you to be that aware. Most people 40s, 50s are not even aware of the thinking process that take place inside of them. They don't understand, so they don't take actions. Next thing they know, they're 60, about to retire, unfulfilled completely, frustrated and mad at the world.
Right.
When in reality, the only thing that they had or they should have been done is just, you know what? Let me reflect. Let me put the scrolling down. Let me put the TV down. Let me stop drinking with my friends. Let me be in silence and let me think about what is it that I like, what I don't like, and what I'm doing, to see if I'm doing something that is actually something that I like. What was your experience once you landed in the Philippines and you saw the landscape and you saw, because one thing is online, right? And another thing is when you really go to a place and realize, okay, I'm here. What was like, were you shocked? Did you like it? Because sometimes I'm honest, I like AC, I like comfortable stuff. I go to places sometimes that I get pissed because online they look great, but when you actually in the place is like a shithole. And I don't like that type of place. Not that because I think I'm better than anybody, because I'm spoiled, because I live here in America.
Right.
And here, good or bad, we're very spoiled. Most of us live very comfortable.
Right.
When I go sometimes to DR, which is my country, don't talk to me about abanicos or none of that thing anymore. Talk to me about AC. But I know you have a very different experience. Tell me about it.
For sure. So, well, the day I didn't really know what to expect, honestly. The day I arrived, I had to, first of all, the plane there is like 3 days traveling, and I took the cheapest route. I was like, because the plane, it's whatever. At the time, I was, whatever.
22 years of semi broke. Disculpa por la interrupción, pero tengo un mensaje muy importante que decirte. Imagínate que puedes revertir tu edad biológica. Imagínate que puedes sentirte con la energía, la juventud, el líbido que tenías hace 10 o 15 años. Para de imaginar porque esto hoy es una realidad. En Connections, lo que hacemos es que utilizamos la ciencia como herramienta y ni siquiera tienes que salir. Te enviamos en tu casa kits e inclusive una enfermera que te saca la sangre para tener sangre, excreta, saliva, orín, DNA, RNA, etcétera, hasta 10,000 puntos de data, y con esa data y mi equipo multidisciplinario hacemos unos protocolos ortomoleculares bioregenerativos de antienvejecimiento basados en data que te garantizo que te van a revertir la edad biológica, te van a dar esa energía y ese líbido de hace 10 a 15 años. Es una promesa de un hombre que tiene más de 15 años de experiencia en esto y está comprometido con la excelencia para ti. Ahora, si quieres convertirte en tu mejor versión, te recomiendo que agendes una llamada conmigo en la descripción del video. Ahora volvemos al podcast.
Struggling, but I had this game with myself too that I don't know, why spend more money if I don't have to?
Right.
You know?
Oh, absolutely.
So had a plane ride that was just insane, the amount of layovers and how long it took me to get here. So when I first landed in Cebu, Philippines, which is one of the larger cities, and I still had to fly the next morning to the island that I was going to be living in. Anyways, when I first arrived in Cebu, I'm alone, and Filipinos are the most hospitable, kindest, welcoming people you'll ever meet in your life. So I arrived there, and all the employees, staff at the airport's trying to help me with my luggage. If I ask them a question, it's not only are they guiding me, they're willing to give me that extra mile of just like, it was insane. I was like, wow, okay. People were concerned about the safety in the Philippines from when I was coming here. I never felt more safe in my entire life. I wouldn't lock my house. You leave your key in your motorbike, or we drive motorcycles there. That's like our everyday transportation. So it's just, especially in the island I was living in. Anyway, so I get to the islands. My first impression, I'm not gonna lie, it was at 5 a.m. was my flight, really early. It was a rainy day, so it's also a different vibe when it's luscious and green and it's raining, like a rainforest, versus when it's sunny and just glowing. Where I lived, it's a touristy place in a sense where, you get a handful of foreigners. However, you have to drive 45 minutes to get there. The drive from the airport to where I was going to be staying I was shocked. The amount of poverty, and mind you, a typhoon just hit about a year ago. It's shacks. Like, they don't even have a roof over their head. There's some mangroves, and they're lucky if they have a house on stilts. That when I say house, it's a couple of sticks of wood, and I see, yeah. I don't even know how to put it into words, but I was like, whoa, I didn't know if I could live there. That was my instant thought. I said, did I make a good decision? Yeah, I did think that. But I'm telling you, that was for 45 minutes of that drive. The moment I got to where I needed to be, and that was like a whole nother thing. The Philippines, which I've come to learn why I love it compared to the other countries I've visited in Southeast Asia, is that it's still not as touristy. It's very authentic. You have to DIY travel, meaning there's not these travel agencies. It's just like as easy as Thailand to figure. Like, you have to figure it out. So I have to go and talk to the locals. Hey, how do I get here? Oh, and they're like, okay, I got you. Like, you give me this amount of money and I'll take you here, and you like negotiate, and it's like fun, Anyways, there's a mission to get to where I needed to go, and the first place they dropped me was my gym. I didn't even go to my Airbnb yet because the gym was grand opening this day. So I got there, did a workout, then I coached a class, and after that I already met a group of locals, and that same day we went surfing. They took me surfing, they showed me around, and it was, as soon as I touched that gym, I knew I made the best decision for that time. It was just what I felt like moving to Miami. The culture was just so accepting, and I was seeing that way of life. Although they had nothing, they were so happy. They were giving me their time and whatever they did have, and it was just like, this is life. I saw how I felt like life should be lived sometimes, to an extent.
I love what you say about Filipinos that are very welcoming and very loving people, and they give you the extra mile. They go above and beyond your needs. And this is something that bothers me, or not that bothers me. I'm wary about this here in America that we have become a little bit robotized. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. We are so individualized on our day to day that is a little bit weird if you go to an elevator and you say, hey, good morning.
Mm-hmm.
People look at you like you're in crack.
Mm-mm.
People look at you like you're weird.
Mm-hmm.
We don't communicate to each other. We are all the time into our phones, in restaurants, in elevators, in life. And when you tell me that people without even knowing you, they were like helping you and you didn't feel threatened by anybody. You felt safe. And that was the concern of your family members and else. It's remarkable that we live in the safest country in the planet, but we feel lonely.
Mm-hmm.
We don't talk to each other, and that is making us very weak,
Disconnected.
very weak when it comes to human connections. Because we're supposed to be talking with tribal humans, with tribal creatures. We're supposed to be in groups. We're supposed to have our own tribe, and that's why I believe you connected so well in Philippines, because the love of the community, although they have no resources like that, whatever they have, they share. That's something remarkable.
Exactly. And that made me want to be a better person because I realize exactly why we are the way we are here in America. It's all we know. If you've only lived in, your small town or a couple, wherever you grew up, that's what you know. So it's not that it's right or wrong. It's just different from what people are doing here in Miami, for what people are living in the Philippines. All my friends have to hand wash their clothes. I did not have a microwave, a washer, a dryer, or a dishwasher for 4 years, which are 4 things that I use every day in America. And I didn't even know that I was missing them there because it was just the normal thing. Meaning when you're not being, the word is not brainwashed, but told that you need these things. Same thing with the ways of life. You go to college or you work for a company 9 to 5 for the rest of your life. That's just kind of what people are told. And if you want more than that, it seems impossible. I always say this, but when I tell people I go to the Philippines, I went to the Philippines for 3 years here, they act like I went to Mars. And they tell me how jealous they are, how lucky I am. And I'm like, that's just not true. You could do the same thing. There's no difference between me and you. And I'm not lucky. I worked so hard to get there and I made a lot of sacrifices and
Yeah.
tough choices to get there. But what I realized coming back here in America is how disconnected we are. And I think because people have never had a taste of what is different. For example, I will admit I was selfish back then and I didn't think I was, or I thought I had to be to hustle. There's this hustle culture here where you have to go, go, go in order for me to be at the top. If I want to be CEO, what does that make you? You have to be under me. So it's like this competition in an unhealthy way versus there in a other, and even some to an extent here I felt it with Latin culture too, but it's like no, we can get there together. Like you go so much farther when you are having a community, when you have support, when you keep everything for yourself. It is so unfulfilling. It is not fun. We are meant to serve others on this world and make the world a better place. If you have no one to share your blessings with, you got there by yourself, like good luck, because it's the most unfulfilling thing ever. So when I saw those people in the Philippines, what they were willing to do for me, a stranger that they never met, you best believe it made me question what I do for others. I'm like, whoa, if this person just gave me their time, what they had with nothing, I need to, check in with myself and see what else I can do for other people too.
It's great because, I love Miami, but you gotta agree with me that this is a very superficial city, especially when it comes to dating and relationships. You are what you can show you have. And that's so sad because the essence of a human being have nothing to do with how much money or resources you have. We're not meant to choose a partner based on money, belonging, cars, and whatever. Here, there's a lot of wannabes that are showing in Ferraris and Bentleys and stuff that are rent because they think that's the way to be, that's the way to behave. Going back to culture, I think we need to go back to the drawing board and understand that as human beings, our essence is the value that we have, not our belongings. Because like you say, you spent 4 years there without microwave, washing machine, dishwasher, and you were happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I never been to Philippines. I have a couple of friends that are from Philippines, but I've been in the R and Latin America many times, and often the poorest people that I have seen are the happiest. And that's a message for me that make me realize maybe I need to revise myself because I'm chasing the wrong things in life. And the realization, because she's my friend, we're very cool, we're very tight, we're very close, and I spoke with her many times about this, and this is a blessing on the skies to understand this concept of you're not what you can provide. You're a human being with a lot of light, love, and things to give to others, and to create a community that bring us up, not bring me or you up. This is not a competition. This is a community, a long marathon that if we run together, we're gonna go further.
Exactly. When I said there, as I come back and I was really surprised how disconnected we are here.
What, when you came back from Philippines?
And I couldn't wait to get back. I had a serious motorbike accident where I almost died. It was almost fatal, and I had to do an MRI, all of that. So I did come back to the States after 2.5 years of never leaving, and I came back. It was exactly a year ago this time, December, and I could not wait to get back. I thought I was just gonna come here, see my family, get my medical stuff done, and go back because I didn't like how, the world was here in it. But at first I was doing it more in, I guess, the victim mindset. And then the next time when I was able to go back, I kind of reflected on some things that I was taking for granted back home and there. It made me in both ways. Like, same thing we were saying earlier with the air conditioning. They don't have air conditioning there. Obviously, the nicer resorts and my place would have it, but you only turn it on when you're sleeping.
Yeah, that's normal in Latin America.
It's the same.
It's not like here that you have AC 24/7.
Right.
In DR, in Colombia, in whatever, you
Exactly.
plug that thing on at night and immediately you unplug it. You don't have that cash to be putting that 24/7.
And if you think of it, it's just crazy the difference. And the water, we would run out of water and electricity
All the time.
all the time.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, it is what it is. And and everyone around you accepts it. And
How did you shower with a thing?
Yeah, exactly. And because you can, it's fine. And I live fine doing that. You know what I mean? It's just your perception. So kind of going back to like realizing this reverse culture shock coming back here, I really wanted to understand why. And me being back for 4 months now has allowed me to remember why we are the way we are. It's the system. It's everything that we're told. I realize that it is tough out here in America to get by. Things are expensive. So you really have to work your entire day. You're working 8 hours. By the time you commute, eat, it's sleep and repeat. And most of the things that we are working towards are not really fulfilling. You are working for a company, for someone else, doing the same thing every day. So there is no growth and there is no change.
Sorry to bother you. We got 30 seconds left. Message for your audience. Yeah, I gotta call you. We gotta do this again. Sorry.
Yeah, this was good.
Message for your audience, because we gotta do this again. We have a lot more things to do.
Routine kills growth. So you need to change your routine to constantly be able to grow and be fulfilled. So
All right. Thank you for coming, Briana. Sorry to call you.
I didn't even know
We
had
gotta
time
do
to
the second part of this podcast. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
Ciao,
See you
ciao.
next time. Ciao.